Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very special friend with me, and he's a pretty determined developer, and we've been checking out different tech events in the area here in DC. So I'll let him introduce himself. And
Cool. Hi, hey guys, my name is Juan Sierra. I'm a computer science student, currently working as a contractor at Facebook. I'm just trying to master web development as a whole.
Cool. Well, welcome to the channel. Glad you could be here.
Glad to be here, man.
Yeah. And I know we're both aspiring developers, learning different languages, working with different systems, programs, apps, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about what kind of languages you know or kind of familiar with?
Yeah. Yes. So I think the main language I know will be JavaScript, but I mess around with Python, PHP, and at work I mess around with Bash scripting, all that kind of thing. So, but the main thing I'm trying to master is JavaScript, though.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to master too. I've been working on HTML, CSS, and focusing on JavaScript because it's such a big language with different libraries that you can use. And there's such amazing depth to it. And so can you tell us more about what you're doing now? Because I know you're working something associated with Facebook, right?
Yes.
But not directly for Facebook yet?
Yeah, so what I currently do at Facebook is fix servers, and also have to run scripts in the servers to fix them and provision them so they can go back to production. So where programming comes in when I'm fixing servers is I have to run like probably 100 or 50 different commands at different times. So what I do is just bundle the commands in one function. So I just run the name of the function on one command, and all the commands run like one by one. Yeah.
So what's been the most difficult language for you to learn in terms of how difficult the deaf and can describe, like what are some hurdles you had to overcome with learning that language?
Yeah, so since I messed around with a bunch of languages, I had no idea like what they did, to be honest. Like at my first internship, I was building a blog and a shopping cart, and they were just telling me to like make things happen, and I'm like, okay, I'll Google and try to make this happen. And at the end, I got everything working, but I just didn't know how everything worked, and that was really frustrating. Okay. Because I wanted to know like what every piece of code did.
Okay, so you're saying PHP?
PHP was the main one I was building. I built a blog with PHP, and also a shopping cart with PHP.
Okay.
So, and everything was interacting with the MySQL database. So, yeah, but the biggest thing that's really frustrating is just understanding the concepts.
Okay. Yeah, so I haven't worked with PHP before. For those that don't know, it's more of a back-end language. And I think we're trying right now to go mostly front-end. Yeah. So do you have, if you had to pick the top 3 languages to learn for 2017, just in your opinion, what would you steer towards?
Okay. Yeah, so the main 3 languages I will pick will be HTML. That's like the main thing you'll need to learn. Yeah. CSS, that's the other thing. If you want to make your website look nice, CSS is the way to go. And then for like functionality and user experience and animations will be JavaScript. Those are the 3 main ones I will go with. And that's what I'm going with right now.
Yeah. So that's that's kind of my opinion as well. Those are the big 3 that people generally start with. But I found that it's JavaScript is very in-depth, like I said earlier. Yeah. So there's a lot of avenues that you can actually go towards as well. And so are there any other languages that you are considering? I know you're not jumping into back-end yet, so maybe do you have some thoughts about maybe React or Angular or some of the different libraries like jQuery,
Yeah.
Sass, or that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, so once you not master, but once you feel comfortable with those three main languages, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you're able to move to frameworks. Like the main one people move to will be jQuery, and jQuery is really easy to learn actually, and you can use it for animations and manipulating the DOM. And well, if you don't want to use jQuery, you can also use React. And then there's Angular and a bunch of other frameworks. You can just pick the framework you want. But the one I'm trying to learn is React. So,
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards React too. It seems like it's very popular. And so this channel is also about traveling and working remote, that sort of thing. For someone in my shoes, I'm going to be traveling, trying to learn how to code while I'm out there. And then what I'm thinking is what do you think about the job application process? Maybe for someone who's in like a set place, like maybe here in DC.
yeah.
And then how difficult is it for someone who's maybe out traveling somewhere else in the world, right? So you've probably read a lot of articles, people getting jobs. What's your general thought on that process?
Like the process of applying to jobs?
Applying to jobs and the best ways to go about it.
Yeah, the best way to go about it. So first, make sure you're able to write code and have a couple projects that people actually use. I mean, people don't have to actually use your projects, but they have to be nice. And I guess you have to be proud of them because I'm sure they're hard work. You might probably spend like hours and weeks and months getting this project to actually work. But the main thing, like the way to go about applying to jobs, it's make sure you learn some of the theory behind all this code and stuff, like computer science things. And also make sure you look up questions that people might ask at the interview. Like they one example, a CEO or recruiter might ask you what does the DOM do? What is the DOM? And like, what's the difference between functional programming or object-oriented programming? That's one of the things you should be able to explain. So, just make sure you get familiar with like the questions and make sure you're able to answer them. And you can just Google everything.
Yeah, Google is the answer.
Google, yeah.
I'm kind of taking a similar approach. I've been looking questions, that people are generally asked at their interviews. And I think the other thing is just do a lot of interviews and you just gain more experience. It's just like learning to code, it's just another subset of skills, the soft skills that you have to learn to get a job.
Gotta add something to that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing though is that since you need to get ready for the interview, if you're friends with developers, the best thing will be to ask them to like maybe do a couple of practice sessions, like an actual interview, so you're not that scared at the time of the actual interview. So,
So I want to add to that as well. I actually just met a developer friend just yesterday. We were at Node School DC, and I found this through Juan. He introduced me to this group. But I met a guy who actually lives down in Medellin, Colombia, and I'm actually going to meet him down there. So I think that's pretty cool. And just to touch on the part that you never know who you're going to meet when you go to these events. They could be from a whole different country. Maybe they're visiting the area, or they work for the company that hosts the event. So I thought that was pretty cool. Can you tell us how you got this position at Facebook? How you got there and what you had to do, maybe the interview or who you had to know, that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it was not a long journey to get at this point where I am, but it was definitely hard, I think. Like I spent a lot of times like running Linux commands, like I use a Mac for development. And I also was doing technical support before I got this job. And I probably spent 2 to 3 months looking for a job. And what I did, I just went on LinkedIn and I just started applying to jobs. I didn't even look at the description. And then, in December, 1 week when I was about to quit my technical position, I was about to quit, but then I got a call from a recruiter, not the Facebook recruiter, but this other company that works with them. But she asked me, she's like, do you want to work for Facebook? I'm like, of course. And then
company.
yes, I'm like, what would I say no, right? But anyways, she asked me if I wanted to work for Facebook. I'm like, of course. And from there, we set up a phone interview, and that went pretty well too. And after that, she asked me like the on-site guy for the data center, the Facebook data center, he was gonna set up a Skype interview. So I did the whole, I guess, technical interview through Skype. I didn't even go on site to see the person like face to face. But the Skype interview wasn't really technical. The guy was just asking me if I was familiar with the command line interface, like the terminal, if I knew how to build a computer, and I said yes, since I built my own gaming PC. And if I knew scripting, since I knew JavaScript on my resume, so I told him yes, I know how to write small scripts that do things. So, and then a couple days later, they called me back and they offered me a position there.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, you definitely got your foot in the door at Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think you were telling me that they're gonna maybe open a position for you.
Yeah, can I add to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to add was that this is my first real job, with paid time off and benefits and all that thing and bonuses and all that stuff. And the other thing that I want to say is that I was talking to my manager a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me he was asking me what I was studying, and I told him it's computer science stuff, like web development. And that's what I want to get into, probably a year from now or a couple of years. Who knows what might happen. But he told me, since we use a lot of Facebook tools that Facebook makes, and they all work on a browser. So I told him, yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm trying to do, make applications that work in a browser. So he told me that they might try to open a position for me, so I can fix this Facebook tools. They're not perfect, but yeah.
Yeah, so definitely you got something to look forward to in the future. And so, that's what I wanted to talk about, in terms of your background. Now we're just going to do some fun questions. There's so many debates about what kind of computer to use, what kind of tools to use. So I'll start off a little bit about me, and then you can add on. I have a computer, Windows PC. It's a Dell. And I use Sublime 3 on there. I just recently got VS Code just to try it out. Chrome and Firefox, and those are some of the tools I've used. Do you have any, what kind of tools do you use, and then what other additional tools maybe that I haven't mentioned that you can bring in?
All right, yes. So I do all my development work on a MacBook. It's a MacBook Pro 15-inch, and I use VS Code. I used to use a bunch of editors, but I just stick to VS Code now because all of them do the same thing. It's just a matter of preference, just picking one. But VS Code is my go-to editor, and I basically, all the development stuff I do, it's on the terminal, and I basically all my things in the terminal, like create files directory and run task and automate tasks in the terminal and all that stuff. And some of the tools I use for development will be Webpack, and that's to bundle let's say you got 2 JavaScript files, but you only need 1, so you don't make too many calls to the server. So that's what you use Webpack for. You will bundle all your scripts into one file, and all your CSS files too. And then you can even compress your pictures too. And the other tool I use is Browser Sync, and what that does is you create a local web server So you don't have to go back and forth between the browser and the editor and refreshing the browser. So let's say this local server or browser thing will be looking at all your files, and whenever you save one, it will refresh the browser for you. And let me see what other tool do I use. I think that's it, man.
Yeah, I think I know you use a Node. What we learn at Node School. That's like the command line. Right?
Oh yes, that's a command line interface, and that's nodeschool.io. You can learn JavaScript or Node or even Git through that tutorials. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because speaking on that subject of different places to learn coding, right? Because there's so many different ones out there, and which ones did you start with? And I know that you started a group too, which I became a part of eventually.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you started in that respect?
How to start the group or how to start learning?
Both. One. Yeah.
Okay. So first one, how I started learning. So I had that internship. I don't know if I mentioned, but I made a blog with PHP and a shopping cart with PHP. And both of those things were interacting with the MySQL database. And I was building those things, but I just didn't know how they actually worked. So from there, I was just Googling like how to make a website, and I found Code Academy, and that's the main tutorial I came across. And from there, I really liked the visual aspect of HTML and CSS. And from there, I found free CodeCamp after, but I stopped doing that because they were referencing back to Code Academy. They didn't have their custom course yet. And after that, since I stopped free CodeCamp because of that reason, I did Udemy. I bought a couple of courses on there, probably for $10. Never pay for 100, but yeah, buy them on sale though. And there, I did the courses, but I never actually finished them. I was still lost. I didn't set my mind on which language I wanted to learn. But then I think I was following Free CodeCamp on Twitter or Facebook. And I saw that they, I think it was in 2015, they updated their course to a custom HTML, CSS, and JavaScript track. And that's when I went back to Free CodeCamp to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But then I needed, I feel like I needed something else outside of that. So right now I'm currently paying for Udacity, the front end nano degree. And there I'm learning a lot about responsive design, accessibility, and website optimization, so it runs fast. And what else do you ask?
So
how did I start the group?
Yeah, I think it's you started a group here in the area as well.
Oh yes, so I started a group here too, a local group, but I just started doing a group because I saw that a lot of cities and like all over the world were doing the same thing. So I was like, well, let me make my own. So
yeah. So that group was Free Code Camp. It's what you started. You started a Facebook group, and that's actually how I stumbled upon meeting you, because I joined the group and I was just looking for local people to connect with. And to add on to some of your courses, Free Code Camp now is more updated.
Yes.
Right. So it doesn't reference back to Code Academy anymore. And something more interesting is they're actually revamping Codecademy this summer, 2017. They're revamping their courses in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and some other ones as well. So I wanted to add that to your section. It's just a fun question. I know you got a lot of stickers on your computer. I have 3 so far, but can you tell us maybe like your top 3 favorite stickers? It doesn't even have to be a serious reason, just be the color, how it looks. Or yeah, sure. I think it'd be fun. Yeah, I got one from you actually.
Yeah.
And I got one from the Node School. And then the other one was, I forgot on mine, but if you want to talk about maybe some of your favorite stickers on there.
All right. Yeah, so my favorite one will be the JavaScript ones, and that's the main language I'm trying to master. Then my next favorite sticker would be Free Code Camp, since that's I think that's where I took off with HTML and CSS, and that's where I decided what I wanted to do. And then the next one will be React. This one over here, since that's the framework. That will be the, I guess, the second framework after jQuery that I want to master too. So JavaScript, FreeCodeCamp sticker, and React sticker. That will be my favorites.
Okay, so those are your top three. Okay, yeah. This one is the Node Score one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This one's pretty nice. These are special. Every city has their own logo, so you got 2 of them so far. Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually just found out yesterday they have an international Node School sticker.
Yes.
So I got really lucky yesterday. And talking about these different groups like Free Code Camp and Node School, they have a lot of chapters in different cities too.
Yes.
I'm hoping to link up with both of those groups down in Medellin.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty cool. And what else do you have to say about any different tools or any different? Maybe something about what's motivating you to learn coding, because we spoke a little bit about that yesterday too. Yeah.
Yes. So coding is really hard though. I know, and I think it's funny people still do it, even though it's really hard. And that's one of the things that keeps me going too, because I see people doing it and get stuck for hours, even days, and they still do it anyways. But the main thing that keeps me going is that with this kind of job, like doing coding or anything, well, not everything in IT, but you just never know what's going to happen. Like, you can work remote and you can be traveling anywhere, and you might meet your next employer or your next client too, or you may even meet the next person you might start a business with. So that's really something that's different from other typical jobs like sales or anything that's not related to IT or whatever. But the other thing that keeps you going is traveling. I want to travel. I don't want to stay in the U.S. I want to, well, not live, but move somewhere else. And from there, you just decide which place I like best. So.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we share also. You also want to travel in the future and kind of work remote, so see different countries. And one of the things we talked about was going to different countries, right? Yes. So where would be the first country you would want to, I guess, move to or, try out in the future?
Okay. Let me see. Probably somewhere where there's sun and it's warm. So probably, let me see. Is it Spain?
Spain or Portugal?
Yes, yeah, Spain or Portugal, one of those places. But I think the main one will be Spain, since that's where my family's from too. So I want to actually visit that place since I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, I think Eastern Europe is on my list this year. More of the Soviet bloc, but yeah, I might stop by, Portugal or Spain. I heard there's a big community there as well. Yeah. So if people wanted to find you, what are some places they can look you up? Because you're an up and coming developer. Yeah. If I look a year from now, I'm gonna see you somewhere working on Facebook. I'm like, wow, I knew this guy back then when he was just like, an associate or something. What kind of social media do you participate in, or groups, or where can people find you basically?
All right. Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter. Let me look up my Twitter username because I think it's really long. But
I can always link it for you as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're on Twitter. That's one.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook. And where else am I? I think that's it.
Okay, so you don't have a website yet.
Oh, I'll get my website ready, but I'll send the link to Tim as soon as I have it ready. I'm still working on that though. Taking too long. Yeah.
I agree, man. I'm a perfectionist too. Try to make it really good, to show it to people. But yeah, that's.
Can I add GitHub too? Yeah, I'm also on GitHub, so if you want to follow me or send me a message, or if you want to work on something, or if you want some help or something, you can hit me up on anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, check out his repos, right? Yeah, I think. Do you want to add anything else to this conversation? Something interesting?
So you were asking something about tools, and I think as a beginner, if you're still trying to learn, if this is something you like, don't really worry about tools. You might see people on a Facebook group or a Slack channel or whatever, some social thing, or Stack Overflow, people talking about tools. Don't worry about tools now until you're comfortable with the language. Tools are just there to help you be more productive, but there's roadblocks you can hit with the tools too. Like, it might not load properly, and then you might spend too much time trying to fix a tool when you should be actually learning to code or building your project or whatever. So don't spend too much time on tools.
Yeah, I'll second that. You get into all these debates and arguments with other people, like what's best and what should I use, this and that. But I think at the end of the day, it's just focusing on what you're doing and being the best at that.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for coming on the channel. I appreciate it, and I'll make sure to link Juan to all his different social media so you guys can connect with him if you'd like to. Yeah, thanks a lot, and hopefully catch you in the world someday, man.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
I'll see you there, man.
All right, cool.